Hello there, Gene Keys friends. I thought I would update you from the heart of the transmission about what's going on in my life at the moment. And one of the most exciting things for me is that I have recently decided to jump on board the upcoming Pearl Retreat and to lead it alongside Tamayo Lawson and Elijah Parker, my dear friends. And we haven't done a retreat together for some time, at least a year or more. And so it's exciting. And there are lots of reasons why I've decided to jump on board this one. And one of the reasons is, the biggest reasons, is that I'm doing a lot of work at the moment with the Gene Keys modeling inside my business, the Gene Keys business. And it's been really interesting because as you use the Pearl and another teaching that's coming out at the end of this year called the Star Pearl, which is a development of the Pearl, you really dig into our wounds around money, our transformation process as organisms in business, as collectives. And putting the Pearl into practice in a business is a very magical process. It's a very challenging process as well. But what I've realized is that business itself is a magical process. And we're doing a lot of real deep values work with it. And I never expected that I was going to be called to model this essentially spiritual teaching inside a business. But what a challenge. How perfect a challenge is that, to bring a spiritual teaching into the most kind of challenging material realm and to use the teaching themselves for this very purpose. And as I said, later this year, the Star Pearl is really showing us how to bring coherence into a group, how to bring harmony into any group. It's a huge learning edge, especially I'm finding for me, like, to think at a system level, at a collective level, to breathe at that level. It's like, it's an adventure. It's something completely new for most of us. And the Pearl is all about vocation. And vocation is a great word because it's something, through its etymology, it means something that is called out of you. You don't decide your vocation in advance. It comes and knocks on your door. And so the question is, how will you answer? So this vocation is calling me out and I am answering. And that's why I've decided to step into the driver's seat of the Pearl retreat alongside Tamayo and Elijah. Bless them for allowing me in. But I have new transmissions coming and singing in me because of the work we're doing in the business and the effect it's had on me. And some updates to the original Pearl material, they're just updates. And, one of the things I've found is that every founder of anything has to learn to take accountability for their creation. So whatever you're doing in this life, this is true. Your creation reflects your inner world. It reflects your gifts and it reflects your wounds. And this is a really tough truth sometimes, because you can't therefore blame anyone else for something that you haven't yet processed inside yourself. So I can see issues arising sometimes in my business or in the community around me. And when I'm utterly honest with myself, I actually see that they're my own issues, at their core, and they've just manifested collectively. And that's very sobering. There are, in the Gene Keys, in the Pearl sequence, there are 6 wounds around money, in their lines, the 6 lines. Some of you will know this. And so line 1 is lack of self-esteem. Line 2 is denial. Line 3 is shame. Line 4 is rejection. These are all themes around money. Line 5 is the delusion around money. Line 6 is the obsession around money. And each of these wounds can be healed in very simple ways, really. Line 1, claiming self-worth. Line 2, self-awareness. Line 3, self-forgiveness. Line 4, kindness. Line 5, clarity. Line 6, embodiment. And we're going to talk about these, in the Pearl sequence, in the Pearl retreat that's coming up. And I'm line 1, right? And line 1 is the lack of self-esteem around money. And, I realized I had to do some deep soul searching. And I realized, for years, I never paid myself. I made sure everyone else was taken care of and paid for, and because I had enough money to live, but I just never gave myself enough more, I never gave myself abundance. It was just like not something that occurred to me. And so I've changed this now. And my colleagues and friends have really helped me with this, because I realize there's been this lack of self-esteem very deep. And I'm now receiving abundance. I'm now taking it in. I'm going, okay, I can pay off my mortgage. I can do these things, that I've been wanting to do for years. And it feels good, It's healing something very deep in my soul. A wound from my childhood, a core wound of unworthiness that many of us carry. This one was from when I was a little boy, And so it's the same for each of us to find these wounds, these core wounds inside ourselves. And anyway, out of these insights, personal for me and collective, a new view of the Pearl is dawning. And it's this incredible lucidity that is available for each one of us when we start to see the universe as a fractal map, a hologram, or a mirror of our inner reality. So think about that when you think about something that is your creation, that you have created. And this is why anything, even business, especially business, in fact, can be seen as magical, because everything around us is magical in nature, because it's reflecting, our need to do this alchemy, this transformation of the shadow into love. And that's it, really. That's what I wanted to share. And I really look forward to sharing some of the new insights through the Pearl in our next online retreat. And so I want to invite you to come, and whether you're a newcomer to the Gene Keys or whether you're an old seasoned veteran, come along and join us. It would be great to have a big global group again and feel the connection, the collectivity as we move through one of these powerful sequences and together, especially the Pearl sequence, which is just such a collective transmission anyway, because it's about bringing service to the whole. It's about serving the planet. It's about serving the higher good. And in order to serve the higher good, we first have to serve ourselves, as I've just shared with you. We have to learn to give ourselves, to claim for ourselves what we need for our soul. And then out of that, we can serve others. We can serve the world in a much higher way. So registration is now open. Come and check it out. Come and find out all about our online retreats. If you've never done one before, they are epic. Come join us. We look forward to seeing you there.